How's it going, guys? My name is Stone and welcome to these reviews. Today I'm going to be talking about the Grateful Dead's second studio album, Anthem of the Sun. Now I say studio like that because this album is essentially a collage of live performances and studio overdubs blended together to make this massive wall of sound that I'd say is some of the most psychedelic music I've discovered this year. I think this album is the closest that the band had ever come to perfecting their live sound in a studio album, which they kind of cheated in doing so because they used live material, but I think the overdubs on this record create such a hazy and surreal experience that I don't think the band themselves have been able to capture the magic of this album live. This is my favorite studio album by them as I'm recording this. I haven't heard much of their studio albums yet, just because whenever I try to listen to new Grateful Dead, I tend to listen to try to discover their live stuff first, like Live Dead, Europe 72. But nevertheless, this is a great introduction to their psychedelic years and just the band in general, because this is the first album I ever picked up by them, and I was not disappointed. So I'm especially excited to talk about this record. The first track, or the opener on this album, is probably the most melodic track here. That's it for the other one. For a long time, this is the only song I really care to listen to from this album, as I loved how catchy the verses and chorus were. But in time, I was able to see just how experimental this track really is, as we're listening to it right now. It redefines what a band could do in the studio, as the jamming on this track feels so cluttered at times that it seems almost impossible to focus on one single instrument. I know I throw the term hazy a lot around on this channel as well, but some of the moments on the song just couldn't be described any better. It really comes off like you're listening to the song high, as the production finds a way to combine the live and studio material into something so inaudible, yet so captivating at the same time. The song eventually fades out into its fourth and final section, where the band showcases their avant-garde influence through some chaotic percussion work that transitions into the next track effortlessly. The next track being New Potato Caboose. This track is also another favorite of mine, and probably my favorite track on this record. This track is just much more loose compared to the opener, and I love how chill the song starts off with the vocals, adding a nice texture to the band's sound before the rest of the group can begin to jam out and expand into an amazing guitar performance. This guitar performance, it definitely features my favorite moment on the entire album, which is when the guitar begins to play the same riff over and over again, while the drummer is banging away at the snare. And in this moment, they create such a deranged yet serene piece of music that shines above everything else on this record, in my opinion. And this track in general is just a great example of the Grateful Dead's early psychedelic qualities, and how they were able to create such a unique sound and trippy atmosphere to their jam sessions. Side 1 closes on the short but very enjoyable track, Born Cross-Eyed. The song really feels like a snippet of what this record is all about, as the band is able to shorten their sound just to 2 minutes, but still squeeze as much instrumentation as possible. Some of my favorite aspects about this song include the drum fills that are dominant throughout its runtime, the vocal melody in the chorus, and just how hectic the song is overall. It definitely reminds me of something I'd hear on their first album, and I could see why some people aren't too fond of this track, but for me, I think this track works well on this record, and it makes the track listing a little more interesting. Yes. But now, getting on to the second side of this album, we were given what's essentially a suite of music that's separated into 2 tracks, but I tend to imagine them as one piece just because they flow into each other. I wouldn't say well, but they just flow into each other so directly, I guess, that it's hard to listen to one of the tracks without the other. More specifically, listening to the second track if you haven't heard the first one. Side 2 begins on with the longest track on the album, clocking in at over 11 minutes, Alligator. Now this song has a lot going on throughout its runtime, but I love every second of it, and I really think it expands upon the ideas that the first side, or not the ideas and atmosphere that was felt on the first side of this record. It opens rather goofy with the use of a kazoo playing besides the vocal melody, before going into some amazing drum work that really takes control of the song for about 3 minutes. When the band does kick back in, however, they bring some excellent guitar and organ work to the song that seamlessly pull you into the soundscape of this track. The chorus, or what I consider to be the chorus, is then sung towards the final minutes of the song, before the music comes crashing down and into the second half of this suite, or aka the second track of this record, or I apologize, the 5th track on this record, Caution, Do Not Stop on Tracks. Now, besides the talking and mumbling that's on the song, this is essentially an instrumental that takes you even deeper into the Grateful Dead's experimentation by creating a canvas of eerie sounds backed by the rhythm section of the drums. It's at the final stretch of the song, however, where the band leaves the record off with the sound of feedback and other intangible noises that I feel really capture the Grateful Dead's intentions to form such mind-bending music. That will definitely trip you out if you're in the right mood, if you know what I mean. And as I said earlier, it's hard to want to hear this song without hearing Alligator first, just because I think the song by itself doesn't really do much. I really think it just does a great job continuing the mood that Alligator had been building up to at that point. But as a track by itself, it's probably my least favorite, but I still enjoy it though. Like, whenever I'm listening to the record, like, I always play it because it's a joy. But and though I try to describe the qualities of this music to the best of my abilities, the Grateful Dead are definitely a band you gotta hear for yourself to believe, because every member plays a key, or played a key role into developing such a psychedelic atmosphere to their music. And they really were unlike any other band that to have existed, or at least in the San Francisco scene. So I find that Anthem of the Sun sums up their psychedelic years perfectly. And out of their first 3 studio records that are more psychedelic than the rest, this is definitely the most innovative and the most defining of their early acid rock sound. Acid rock, psychedelic, you know what I mean. Anywho, I hope you guys go check this album out if you haven't listened to it already. And if you have, I'd love to know your thoughts about it in the comments, because I love discussion. That's why I made this channel in the first place, to get some feedback. Grateful Dead joke. And yeah, check out my other videos if you're interested to see if we have similar tastes, or if you just like psychedelic album reviews, because that's what I'm all about here. I mean, in time though, I'm gonna be reviewing some more progressive rock albums. I don't really know which ones yet, but I'll find some fun ones to talk about, or at least fun to me. Anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah, I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.